President Ditzler, Chairman Sheets, fellow trustees, and alumni, faculty, staff, parents, and distinguished guests. It's an honor to be here, especially since I was here when the school wasn't so hard. Graduating class of 2015, I do so with some ambivalence because we come from different worlds. You've never searched a card catalog. You've never used an Encyclopedia Britannica. You've never retyped an entire page because your footnotes didn't fit on the margins. You didn't learn to drive using a stick shift. You don't remember rolling a car window up or down or riding without seat belts. You always had to wear a bike safety helmet as if you had to have bubble wrap. You didn't tape coins to the needle arm of your record player or walk across the room to turn a television dial. You, with your Bluetooth earpieces, don't know the sound of a rotary phone. That was fun. Undoubtedly, most significantly, you have no idea what life was like before the internet. I, on the other hand, don't blog, tweet, post pictures on Instagram. I don't look for ideas on Pinterest. I don't send snaps. I certainly don't twerk. I was waiting to see how the signer was going to do that one. I can take a picture with my Android, but I have yet to take a selfie. I learned that the Amazon is a river in South America and that an apple a day would keep the doctor away. What could I possibly say to you, and why would you listen? After all, 30-some years ago, I sat where you sit, and I didn't listen. I don't remember who spoke or what he said, nor do I recollect who addressed us at Boston University. If my life depended on it, I couldn't recite a single sentence from the entire ceremony. I didn't even go to the ceremony at the University of Michigan. They mailed me my diploma. Lincoln was right. The world will little note nor long remember what we say here. You didn't come here to listen to me. There are some good reasons that you won't listen and won't remember. One is because this is such a huge achievement. To quote Vice President Biden, this is such a big thing. Your senses are on overload. Your adrenaline is pumping as if you had climbed Mount Everest or pitched a no-hitter in the World Series or killed the meanest bull in Madrid. This is a bungee jumping kind of day, sheer exhilaration that your papers are done, your tests are passed, your research projects are completed, I hope. All the plays, labs, programs, recitals, athletic competitions are behind you, except those darn men playing lacrosse. For some of you, the achievement is magnified by the fact that you're the very first in your family to earn a degree. I congratulate you. You did it at a school where you couldn't hide in a lecture hall filled with hundreds of students. You couldn't go undetected by a graduate assistant. No, the professors at Albion knew your names and knew when you were missing and called you out if you weren't prepared or not living up to their standards or your potential. Well, the one thing that gets to me anytime I'm with Albion alum is that they never talk about what they learned here. Plate tectonics, the music of Mahler, the tales of Chaucer, mastering calculus, biology, chemistry, psychology. When Brits gather, and it doesn't matter when, they tell about the professors who changed their lives. And I know you can do it online. Rate your professor. I don't like it when students do it online. They usually complain that I give them too much work. But you were rather anemic when you thanked the men and women who changed your lives so profoundly. Would you please thank them again? So maybe you're not listening because you can't concentrate. It's an emotional day. It's just beginning to sink in that you're leaving your friends, your roommates, your our age, your classmates, your brothers and sisters from Greek life, teammates, housemates. Your Albion friends shaped you like the hands in Escher's lithograph, both holding pencils and drawing each other into existence. They've made you the people you are today, 4 or 5 years later. They finished what your family started. How can you listen when you're melancholy? Some aren't listening because, oh, the places you will go. Some to med school, law school, business school, seminary. I head to New York, Hollywood, Institute graduates to Lansing and Washington and Chicago and Detroit. Some to foreign places with NGOs. This is wonderful. I'm happy that you have ambitious plans. I need to caution you, though, as someone who's lived a little while, that nothing happens in the future. There is only today. Ask anyone who's discovered an aneurysm or survived an earthquake. A few of you aren't listening because you're uncertain about the future. You're stressed out even though you're here today. Nothing's been secured. You don't know where you're going to live or where you're going to work or where you're going to school. On what should be one of the happiest days of your life, you're like an inmate being released after decades of incarceration. I like that line too. And you're frightened by what you don't know. I'm here to tell you, you're probably well, let me back up. You're probably irritated by people who keep asking you, by the way, what are you going to do next? Like, let's get through today first, huh? In some ways, though, you have the greatest advantage because life is not predictable, nor is it fair. Learning to live in limbo or a transition is a very valuable skill, and you'll need it because you're going to change jobs 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 times. You're going to move locations over and over again. And so if you don't know what's coming, consider it a gift today. It will prepare you for the rest of life. Now that we've determined that there are good reasons why you're not listening and you won't remember, I have a couple of things to say. After graduation, the whole world becomes your classroom. Most often you're a student, but occasionally you're the teacher. 21 years ago, when I was appointed to CAS, I figured out how little I knew. The church had a proud history of advocacy and charity, but when I arrived, there was no welcome wagon. The community wanted us out. They had had enough of undesirable people. They thought the neighborhood was saturated and that we were attracting folks. And so after some time and study, we decided to launch a nonprofit and move it 4 miles away. And now today we're lucky enough, we're blessed enough to have 10 buildings with 4 major programs. And each program has taught me something, so you're going to have to listen to it. Food. Oh, thank you. Food. We make and serve 1 million meals a year. I don't cook. They don't let me in the kitchen. But even from the hallway, I've discovered that everything has a shelf life. Tomatoes, potatoes, cucumbers, milk, mayonnaise, meat. Some foods last a couple days, some a couple weeks. But everything has a shelf life, and so do you. I know you're not thinking about it today, but I'd urge you to resist the temptation to watch too many animals roller skating on YouTube. Your time is limited. 2, Cass operates a healthcare clinic with free medication and medication monitoring for people with AIDS and people who are mentally ill. When I'm having a bad day, I go to the Activity Center for Adults with Developmental Disabilities. We have 125 people there who treat me like royalty. Handshakes, hugs, long questions about where have you been and we've missed you, and broad grins from ear to ear. What the program members have taught me is that we affect others emotionally. Maya Angelou said it this way: I've learned that people will forget what you said, and people will forget what you've done, but people will never forget how you made them feel. You have no idea what burdens other people are shouldering. Part of your work is to make people, all people, not just the ones who can do something for you, feel welcome and valued and appreciated and listened to. We have a housing program. 325 homeless people sleep with Cass each night, more adults than in your graduating class, and 50 to 60 children. They've helped me understand that there's a difference between homelessness and houselessness. It's not the same thing. Soon you may be buying furniture. Some year you may be remodeling a kitchen or a bathroom. These are not the things that make a home. No matter if you're moving into an apartment, a tiny house, a boathouse, or the White House, a home is a place where you can retreat and recharge, where you fill the place with pictures and pets and people you love and who love you, the ones who walk in when the world walks out. Create a sanctuary for yourself where you can get naked emotionally, where no matter where you're returning from, as you pull in the driveway, you think to yourself, it's so good to be home. Finally, in 2007, Cass started creating jobs because there just wasn't enough employment, and certainly not for the people who came to Cass. Today we employ 85. All the positions are linked to sustainability. We repurpose, as you already heard, tires and glass and wood. We recycle tons of paper and cardboard. The program has schooled me that perspective is everything. The world saw blight, we saw jobs. The world saw disposable people, we saw adults with something to contribute. I gotta tell you, today I'm thinking about my dad. My father was a teacher, taught history and economics at a public high school and night school and summer school. And I don't know how he did it, but he carved out time to work on a doctorate too. And one summer he was away at Syracuse University and Detroit erupted. I was 8 years old, but I'll never forget. The smell of burning buildings, the sound of gunfire, the sight of helicopters above, the National Guard troops and tanks in the streets. It was terrifying. It changed the city. It changed my father. He never left the family alone again. And he never got a doctorate. It wasn't until I started at Cass, though, that I learned how different perspectives could be. The white community called what happened in 1967 a riot. They talked about black people looting stores and torching houses, and the African American community, I learned, spoke of the same event as a rebellion sparked by police harassment and brutality. They reflected on racial profiling. You know about that today. I began my speech by saying you and I are from different worlds. The truth is that many people live in worlds different than yours and mine. You will have the opportunity to learn from a diversity of people in the years to come. Individuals with different ages and races and classes and countries and religious affiliations and sexual orientations and identifications. I highly recommend that you cultivate relationships with people who see the world with different eyes. They have things to teach you. This is why I'm so excited about the Albion Fellows Program and the Inside Out classes. It's not just about what the college can do for local students, it's also about what the fellows can do for Albion College. They bring a different perspective, some of them crossing color lines. It's significant that this program was launched in the same year in which the majority of public schools in the United States are now composed of minority students. The Inside Out exchange classes at Cotton Correctional Facility are transformative in the same way. It's not just what the class can do for the 15 prisoners, but what the inmate students can teach our community. I was privileged to join the closing ceremony at Cotton recently. It was clear that the members on both sides had grown because of the interactions. At one point in the evening, I was sandwiched between an insider and an outsider, and he commented that he had been locked up in 1991, and she responded, I was born in 1993. And then he said, the inside students together will spend over 800 years in prison. When I was born, there were roughly 3 billion people on the planet. Today, there are 7. If you're invited to come back and give remarks 30 years from now, there will be 9. Don't cheat yourself out of exploring other worlds. I, of course, urge you to consider the perspectives of poor people and extremely poor people. It'll change you. Journalists as you write, teachers as you teach, artists as you draw, doctors as you heal, politicians as you legislate, and business people as you sell. It will forever change you as a person, and sometimes it will gnaw at you to change the world to make it more just. That's it. That's all you have to remember. Everything has a shelf life. What's important is how you make people feel. You should create a home for yourself and others, and you should seek out different perspectives. If 4 points are too much for you today because of the rain or something else, I'd echo the great theologian Mark Twain, who said, the 2 most important days in your life are the day you are born and the day you figure out why. Now it seems appropriate, before I unleash you to the unsuspecting world, I know you've done it before, but that you would recognize the people who gave you life. Your parents, by blood or marriage or adoption, who have sacrificed for you to attend Albion, who accepted your garbage bags full of dirty laundry, carted you back and forth together with the laundry, sent you cookies and cash and cards, who came to see you do or say or play something, and who are here again today with no need for jewelry because they exude pride. Would you please get on your feet and thank your parents?